Hello, friends, and welcome to Enter the Scottyverse interviews. You can't see it because he just left the computer, but Dan Deegan, the man, the myth, the legend from Zoobox podcasting and from We Are Neighbors, is my guest today. Now, me and Dan go way back, about a decade. He's a crazy man. He's a wild man. He is one of the people who got me to start podcasting. He's one of two people that got me to start doing this. Quick disclaimer.
I think we gave you.
Go ahead.
We gave you the bug.
You between sure. Zoobox and Woken Baked, I got the bug.
I'm just saying we gave you the bugs. Zoobox.
Zoobox gave me the virus. And I think I've already lost internet. There we go. Yeah.
COVID.
All right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Zoobox, they know how to cure COVID, but they gave me COVID. That's where we're going.
Yes.
Let me throw my disclaimer in there. Normally my show is very mellow, very not cursing. Dan's a wild man. I will follow Dan down rabbit holes. If we go out in the left field and we start saying some terrible things, just be ready for that. That's my disclaimer. If you don't want to hear where we go, turn it off now, and we'll talk about it later. My internet's still screwing up. I've already lost Dan. Dan! See, I don't know if you can hear me because I'm in Missouri, and the internet is garbage. I think I already got kicked, which means Dan's going to be going ham right now. All right, well, that was quick. That was very quick.
Yeah, I think when you leave, I don't record anymore.
Oh, it's a damn shame. All right, well, we're just going to keep being Skippy. Anyways, we may start swearing. We may say terrible things. If you don't want to hear that, so be it. Dan, thank you for being on the show, brother.
Hey, man, I'm here for you. I'm here to support what you do because you support me. You can see the amp that little Scotty here bought me. A very generous gift. And I've been using it every day. Every day. Well, I'm recording. Did you listen to that song I sent you?
I did. I got about halfway through, and then my internet did what my internet does, and I need to go and listen to it again. But, bro, I dig everything you send me. And I actually shared some of your music with the last guest I interviewed. So he's a very bluesy, like Southern blues guitar player in a band. So I sent him some of your stuff, and he said, man, he's digging the shit you're putting out, too.
Well, I'm telling you, dude, listen, when greatness is being shown to the world, I'm just hiding right now. It's like a micro penis. It's just not ready yet, It's a baby penis. That's what I mean. It's a baby penis. I haven't grown up yet, but I'm definitely having some dude like this song I just sent. I'm just gonna tell you the title, people. It sounds messed up, but you have to hear it. I'm gonna be recording the video probably tonight, so go check out We Are Neighbors Band on Facebook, and it's called "Kill Your Baby." Yeah, that's all I got to say. And it's offensive.
Well,
it is what it is.
And I shared the last song you sent me on Facebook, and I had to put a language warning out there for that way the people who don't like that type of language were aware of it. Because I know people like that, and that's their choice.
I didn't cuss. I didn't cuss.
I'm pretty sure. You dropped the F-bomb. You said GD.
Did I? Like I say GD. Yeah, I forget. That's a bad word.
I mean, you do write a song and then forget what the hell you said in the song.
No. I don't do that much anymore, I play them all day. But he is correct. I very rarely write down my lyrics. But I record everything, so I can always go back.
Okay. Well, yeah, man, you said you had something you wanted to talk about. So we can go down your rabbit hole before I start interviewing.
Well, I started, listen, I think we all know the world is in an interesting place right now, okay? I think we can admit that, especially America. But I started, we look at Antifa and BLM, and I'm really been researching more about the foundings of them and where they came from. And I started, researching the brown shirts of Germany, which were basically the stormtroopers but how they got started is so familiar to this situation. It's so familiar. It's very similar. It's crazy. And they started the way. So the original was after 1921. It was around 1921, right at the end of World War I. And a lot of people are disenfranchised with the current system. You know, we all, because of the poverty of being in, because of the war, they got their ass handed to them. And there was a lot of just like confusion and a lot of hatred for Jewish people at the time. So Hitler basically used them to protect his Nazi rallies, because that was the Socialist Party at the time. And he used those brown shirts to protect his rallies. And that's how he kind of indoctrinated them to join. And that's what I'm seeing today. These Antifa people are trying to go out in the name of justice, social justice, which keyword social, add an ism, you're right there, okay? And it's just interesting to me, the dynamics between the two. The brown shirts wore brown shirts and brown khakis, and then Antifa dresses in black bloc is what the terminology is used, which was started back in 2008 during Occupy Wall Street. That's where this kind of all this goes back to about 12 years ago, during the economic collapse. So when we are in great economic strife, these generally the socialist, Marxist, communists, they will come out and give this idea of socialism, and it's really appealing to people who are desperate, you know. And I think that's what we're seeing today.
Okay, so, but all right, so World War I, the war to end all wars happened. Germany got beat up a lot. They had a crumbling economic system. They had actual plight in their life. It wasn't like, oh my God,
like real shit.
They didn't go to Starbucks and their triple macchiato wasn't hot enough. They had legit plight. So they had a good reason to be upset with stuff. Sure, they started to fight and lost, but
can I say something real quick? Can I say something
ahead.
real quick? And I think this is a fair thing to make. At the moment in time that they were in, that was probably the most advanced, the easiest life that those people had known at that moment, as far as like technological advancement, industry, job opportunity. It was the war that brought it down. But like, if you go a generation back, I'm sure it was worse in certain ways, you know, like as far as like healthcare system wasn't as good, you know, so in their viewpoint, I'm sure all the boomers of their time were like, what are you bitching about?
Yeah.
What are you bitching about, dude? You know?
And I'll give you that. All right. But they had just come off a major war that devastated the entire planet.
Iraq, Afghanistan.
That
20 years.
That pales in comparison to World War I, man. World War II. I get it. We've been at war for 20 years, but the economic hardships, the rationing, all of the stuff that they had to deal with back then hasn't happened. Plus, America, what has America witnessed through Afghanistan and Iraq that is so detrimental to the way of life, as opposed to Germany, World War I, getting decimated, having to repay money, losing all this stuff you had, going through the rationing, losing about a quarter of your male population?
Like, I'm gonna refute this right now.
Okay, time
our
out.
generation, mine, yours, Generation X, okay? Already the millennial generation. It is all they've known. To them, it's all they've known. Now hold on, like think about it. The psychological evolution of people has not been that great in 2,000 years. We have not seen a great change in or at least our psychological development as human beings. So plight is plight, pain is pain. And if you're not familiar, it's like, okay, when we're in the military, right? And I have another thing that I need to bring up that we're really seeing in society right now. I've been doing my research on this. What is the fear that these young people feel and that they're being told and everything? To them, it's the worst thing that's ever happened. To them. It's kind of like when you join the military and let's say you've never really done PT that hard before. Then you get PT'd hard. And it's like the hardest thing you've done, right? And you're like, oh, this is fucking awful. But then you get out of it and then you go do something like a tryout like we did when we went to team and had that 30-day tryout. And you're like, this is the fucking worst shit I've ever done. And then you go to the assaulters and you're like, oh my, honestly, yes. But like you sit there and you're like, but after that, what do? You adapt to the pain, you learn to manage it, and you become stronger for it. But these people most of our society today has been coddled and has the snowplow parenting is what it's called. Let me just push all the hard shit out of your way.
Yes.
And then they go and then the parents drop them off at school and say, hey, you take care of my kid for the next 8 hours. And if they do sports, another 12 or whatever, or 12 hours total.
Yeah.
And then they come home and the parents are tired from work. They don't want to fucking talk about the shit. They're like, I just want to watch fucking Maury and chill out. Okay. So your kids are being raised by the system. And that's the same thing that happened in Germany. The exact same thing.
And I see where you're going with that. So, but how is it that our system we've had to make our own plight. There's nothing really plightful about America. We are the best. We're the best country on the planet, brother. We have everything.
Hold on. Do you really think the Jews were the reason? You know what I mean? They made up plights too. So they created shit to explain the situation they were in. So they targeted a certain group of people to put their blame on. And unfortunately for the Jews, it's been a few times. Okay.
But we can go back to the argument of they were coming off. Oh shit! Did we lose internet? No, you're still there. All right. They were actually coming off a world war. They had the draft. They had. See what I'm saying?
But Scotty, what I'm telling you is, it doesn't matter what happened in the past, because the generation never had to experience that before. The psychological evolution of people has not evolved.
So what's so bad about our generation that shit needs to completely change?
Like I said, they don't know what worse is.
And
they don't know.
And I'm kind of agreeing with you. I'm kind of arguing with you, but I get it. Yeah, parents need to be parents. They need to step up. Cool. I don't agree with the education system. I have never agreed with the education system since I first entered the education system in like 1993. I've hated it. I fought it the whole way through.
Me too.
I don't agree with college. I don't agree with any of this higher education nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's pretty crummy that parents will push their kids off and just go to work. I was a 2-income family. Now, like with my parents, now I'm a 1-income family. Why? Because I understand that the children, yes, they have to go to school because that's what the government mandates. Oh, wait, COVID happened. They shut everything down 3 months before school ended. March, April, May, June. No, 4 months for Georgia. They shut it down. They didn't take any of their required tests to progress to the next grade. And guess what? All the kids progress to the next grade. Because I agree.
I know.
Education is a crock. Education is just feeding the machine. I'm with you on that.
Well, no, it's because parents aren't proactive enough in their children's lives. That's truly, hey, let me tell you the history of where I came from, what I experienced. This is not that bad. Like, if you're not being told that, but if you just have snowplow parents who don't actually give reality to their kids, they grow up with certain expectations. And then when they're confronted with reality, they're not comfortable with it. They've never really had to be uncomfortable. So listen, this is what's happening. Okay. What we had was a right-wing uprising. Okay. Right-wing uprising. It's what we today would consider left-wing, but at the time was a right-wing nationalist movement. Okay. Of socialism. Okay. And then you have today, which is a left-wing, it's a globalist movement. Okay. It's not national. There are globalists.
Yes.
Okay. But this is left wing. So they're left wing globalists that do the same exact type of enforcing their standards through cancel culture, through shaming, through basically public execution of not necessarily murdering. Well, there was a murder in Portland last night of a Trump supporter that we don't know much about, but I will say that it's interesting to see that things could be escalating. But these are the beginning stages of a revolution. If not, we're already in one, because nobody knows when they're in a revolution until they look back in history and say, that's about where it started. Right. But I have to say this. It's the left wing, modern day, same ideology. Back in the Nazi Germany, right-wing ideology, but it's the same fucking bird. It's the same bird going to the same location that we've been down before, but people want to play fucking games and act like they're separate when they're the same.
Okay, so you're saying we're pushing towards nationalism, towards Nazism, essentially.
No. We're pushing towards globalism.
Globalism. But so you're saying BLM wants to pick a basically just a bullshit topic and push their agenda.
No, not BLM, Antifa. And Antifa and BLM and Antifa are closely guarded, okay, to being the same. But you have to understand the concept, okay? What it's called open brain insert ideology or insert idea. So you take a term like anti-fascist, Antifa, sounds pretty reasonable, okay? You're like, yeah, I don't think fascism's good because it's through the echo of history. People knew that Nazis were fascists. Okay, so open brain, insert idea. And what they do is during very heightened emotional, stressful times, much like Nazi Germany, everyone's brains is very exposed. The senses are very heightened. So your brain is open and stimulated. So they come in with a new ideology. So what's happened? Now follow me here, okay? And
I will try.
But what I'm talking about is very simply put this. They have motives, and like Black Lives Matter is another term. The statement Black Lives Matter creates that open brain insert ideology perspective because it's such a simple, stupid statement. No shit, Black Lives Matter. Are you kidding me? Like, duh, because that's what they can say to you if you don't agree with it. Well, you're racist. So they get to use these trigger words, these catch words, you know, and you're like, wait, no, I'm not racist. Oh, well, that's what a person with white privilege would say. And you go, what the heck? Like, what's going on here? You're upturning society. And then, and like our whole entire cultural and structural narrative, and they're harping on things that was maybe 60, 70 years ago to get at our heartstrings, because it's still not that long ago that we can still talk to people that were there. There's like an emotion to it. So what I'm saying is, like, it doesn't matter what the Germans went through, and it doesn't matter what the modern day America went through. We have exposed ourselves to certain heightened emotions because we've become such a coddling society that these kids are like, everything's emotional, everything is heightened, everything is serious, and it's not their fault. They just don't know any better. So they attach themselves to these movements without actually doing their research, which actually looking into things. And this is how the cookie crumbles every time.
Yeah, I get it. The world is always on fire with some type of issue for everybody. And it is wild. Like, bro, I haven't watched the news in like 2 months, and I'm happy as can be. So,
well, it's probably better for you.
Yeah, I saw the video the other day of the 17-year-old kid who shot a pedophile, whatever. But it is mind-blowing to me that, sure, I get it. The experiences that the late teenagers, early 20-something-year-olds are having now are completely different from my experiences or completely different from my parents' experience. But I get that. But what I'm having trouble wrapping my mind around is, how have we forgotten so quickly? Like, I can
tell you.
Okay, how have we forgotten so quickly how bad things can be that we're just going down? Well, World War II ended in the late 40s, so 60, 70, about almost 80 years, not even a century later, we're coming up with the same bullshit. Less than 100 years, we've already completely forgotten the lessons of the past, and we're starting to go down the same road. That's kind of what you're arguing, right?
Well,
but how did we forget that? How did we forget? In 100 years, how do you forget that quickly?
Well, I think it's pretty easily explainable, honestly. So you look at the NEA, the National Education Association was founded by a socialist, which they pushed German-centric views as far as their education system, which is more of the industrial system, where they go, that's why we have bells in our schools. That's why they have like a rudimentary, very systematic approach to schools. So the National Education Association, which over 200 counties in the United States just recently, their first week of education, whether virtual or in school, will be literally Black Lives Matter propaganda given by the Black Lives Matter organization that is absolutely open brain insert ideology, which is generally used in children, which is why if you go back a couple thousand years, some of the first people to really use this technique was the Persians. What the Persians would do when they would go conquer, they would kill any male over the age of 13, and then they would train those young boys to be the police force. Okay? And then they would police their own people So their people wouldn't feel like the Persians are really taking control of them. They would be like, well, this is just the way things are now. But, I digress. There's reverberations through history of all these similar type of effects and class struggle, and there's an argument between the rich and the poor and this and like that and whatever. America really doesn't have that huge of an issue. This is a very nuanced subject when it comes to the disparities, let's say, within the African American community. It's not as simple as people want to put, but what they do is as far as our education system has been tailored to fit a specific narrative. Even when I was going to school as an elementary school, it was pretty pro-America, I would say.
Yeah.
Fairly pro-America. I mean, we did the Pledge of Allegiance every day. It was pretty normal, but that's not normalized anymore. That's not really wanting to happen. People don't want that to happen because they view it as a form of indoctrination. Well, okay. But when you replace that indoctrination with another form of indoctrination, that's what they're doing. If you're fucking, and the crazy thing is, the NEA submitted these documents to these schools, and they have, like, from kindergarten, stuff tailored from kindergartners all the way up to 12th grade. So, you get someone who's kind of, their parents really don't give a shit and they're super progressive.
Yeah.
And then, or you have another example, maybe they come from a conservative family, and they were told that most of the stuff is bullshit. And then they go to college, and then it started over. You're very emotional. Your first time away from home. You really don't know what's going on. You're kind of confused. You're entering into some new sexual realm, a lot of hormones, a lot of struggle, and not to mention if you're a man, there's a lot of threat of physical violence, right? So men are generally more of an emotional, dictative creature. But women are usually more calculative. But how do they instill fear in women? There's a rape culture on college campuses.
There's a rape culture everywhere. It's not just college campuses.
No.
Have you been in the military? Do you know how many times I've been told if I look at a woman, I just raped her?
Right.
It's everywhere.
But it's specifically and this is why it's becoming a problem in the military, because they get you, because like you have experienced open brain insert ideology. What do they do when you get to the military? They break you down, they stress you out, they get you like heightened and emotional, and then they insert their ideology into you.
Yeah, integrity first. Yeah.
And it's the same thing when you went to Indoc for TRF. Open brain, insert ideology. Shut the heck up. Shut the heck up. You don't know anything. You need to submit to our will. And you saw how easily people crumbled. You saw how easily people just said, "Oh God, okay.
Yeah.
I just want to survive. I just want to survive."
I get that.
So it's the same thing. So what they do is they create a culture surrounded by fear through misrepresentation of data sets. And we're seeing that. I'm sorry, I'm ranting, people, but guess what? I'm here to give you information, but this is true. The misrepresentation of data sets. So the OSHU put it out just recently that minorities are being affected greater by COVID, right? Okay. They literally stopped studying minorities in the middle of the COVID, and they only focused on white people, okay, to sway the statistics. Like, and that's a fact. That's proven. So like one of our reputable sources, same thing with Harvard. You look at Harvard as an institution, one of the heightened things. And today on Twitter, they put out 2 + 2 = 4. But there's an argument that actually proves 2 + 2 = 5. And that is the reason why that is a joke, right? It was a joke started by the conservatives and the right wing, because 1984, that's what happens. In the book 1984, it's called Newspeak. They literally dictate and change the interpretation of language to be able to get things. And there's a famous line from the book where they've been at war with this country called like Eurasia or something, right?
Yeah.
All this time. And then all of a sudden, they're not at war anymore, and they never were at war, and everyone had to believe it. But then all of a sudden, no, they're back at war because they need to execute a few hundred people. So it's open brain, insert ideology, and you're seeing it in communist China today. A new study just came out about China. Do you know what's happening in China right now?
I haven't watched the news in 2 months. I assume
No, it's not even on the news.
Somebody ate a bat somewhere, and now we've got the bubonic plague going.
That's literally a fucking joke. compared to what I'm about to tell you.
We'll get
It's a
into
joke.
COVID later, I'm sure. This is the first episode where I've covered anything remotely political or anything. So
This is not political. This is not political. This is absolutely apolitical. This is asymmetrical to being political. This is the truth. This is truth. This is what's happening in America today.
And I agree with you, and I believe you, and that's why I invited you on the show, because I like your ideas, and I can get behind.
These aren't ideas. These are verified facts.
I can get behind the truth, and we will try to have as many links as we can in the comments.
No, but hear me out. Hear me out.
China. What's going on in China right now? Because I'm in the dark.
So China is a communist country. You could say anarcho-capitalist in a sense. It's not anarcho, but they do have a capitalist economy, but that is absolutely owned by their government. Yes. They own a piece of every single industry that they have, every business. They own a piece of it. So
they get a bit of every yen in the country. Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah. Well, it's more than taxes. It's ownership. Yeah. They actually own it.
That's what I meant by it.
Yeah. Right.
They own every idea. They own 10% of every idea ever had.
Something like that, right?
And if not, they just steal it or trademark and infringe the hell out of
it. Right, because honestly, I would do the same thing if I was another country. Fuck you. No, but anyway. So there's what's happening in China with the Uyghurs. The Uyghur is a majority Muslim population. So about a month ago, a video was released, and the Uyghurs in a northwestern part of China. And I can't remember the number of people that are considered Uyghurs, but out of 1 billion people, I do believe it's like 12 million. Okay, it's something like 12 million. I might be wrong, but it's a considerable number. It's not a small number. So what they did is they rounded them all up, put them in concentration camps. Uyghur is like with a U, by the way. Just saying.
I'm trying to look it up right now.
Yeah, look up the population. Thank you. I'd be greatly appreciated. Listen, guys, go fact check me. I'm not an elephant. I can't remember everything fact base, but I this is definitely something terrible is going on. So, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, whatever it was, a drone footage got leaked, right? And it showed a bunch of Uyghurs with their heads shaved in kneeling positions next to a bunch of trains. Now, if that doesn't make you concerned, because we know history, your average person should know a little bit. Be like, that's a little weird. Okay?
Yeah, you don't put people in trains. Yeah.
And shave their heads, having them blindfolded in kneeling positions. Okay, it's weird. All right.
Yeah, I watched that zombie movie when they went to Korea or something. Yeah. 310 to Yuma.
Yeah, 310 to Yuma, I think. Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's zombie. Yeah, but I get you. Yeah, people shave heads next to trains is not a good image for anybody.
Listen to me. It is literally nuts what I'm about to tell you. So they're expecting, this is a suspicion at this moment, but the Chinese are very intelligent. That's why they've stayed in power for so long. So now the suspicion is that they leaked the video themselves. Okay.
I just got official requires released by Chinese authorities place the population of Uyghurs in Xinjiang region to be just over 12 million. Comprising approximately half of the total regional population.
Thank you. So I was roughly correct. Okay. So 12 million. Or I was correct.
That's per Wikipedia, by the way. Per Wikipedia.
Yeah, and you know what, Wiki? Sometimes you lie to me, but so, hey,
sometimes you leak a little bit.
It proves me right. So let's continue. But anyway, right. So there's a considerable number of people there. All right, let's just get real. All right. That are and they're Muslim. So, and obviously in China you can't have any religion. They don't believe in it. God does not exist. So the state mandates that you can't.
They're Turkic, so they're Turkish style Muslims.
Yes. They're not like radicals, but they claim they are. But they claim they are the government.
I assume when I look at Turkish Muslims, I think of Catholics that go to church on Easter and New Year's.
Yep, I 100% agree. I 100% agree.
I'm a Muslim, but only during Ramadan, you know?
Yeah, and it's like, I'm a Muslim, but I'm at work and I want a cigarette and it's Ramadan, you know? And no one's going to know because, you know, it is what it is. But anyways. So the Uyghurs, so they released this footage and so there's a Uyghur that escaped from China. He's a doctor of some sort. I can't remember his name. But he basically lays it out and he goes, listen, I have intel from inside that proves that they've killed 2/3 of the Uyghur population. That's 8
8
million.
Yeah.
Yeah, motherfucker. Jesus Christ, go back to maybe you should go back to school. Open brain, insert ideology. Let's go. But anyway, so roughly 2/3 of these people have died. But do you know what they did in the process of killing these people? You know what? Honestly, this is worse than what happened to the Jews, and that was freaking terrible. It was horrible, right? What they're doing to these people is they're shaving their heads to sell their hair all over the world. They are harvesting their organs to sell to other countries, United States. If you get an organ transplant, it's a good possibility that it could be a Uyghur. And guess what? They do it without sedatives. They just cut them open right there, tie them up, cut them open, and just take their organs and let them die out. And take their eyes, take everything. And it's absolutely horrible. It's atrocious. So what they do know, though, and this is how smart the Chinese are. You have to give credit where it's due, no matter how horrible and abhorrent it is. They're keeping the population alive that has family that lives outside of China, and they let them contact them once a week so that the rest of the world doesn't really know what's happening. So the Chinese leak this footage of this drone flying to make it look like they're alive, but it doesn't lead to the assumption that they're already dead.
Let me stop. Sorry, I'm Googling stuff as we're talking this. And yeah, so I just Googled this is advances.sciencemag.org, quantifying Holocaust facts. So they are saying the recent estimate is that 5.4 to 5.8 million Jews were killed during the Holocaust. So if China has killed 8 million Uyghurs in however many times,
yeah,
you've almost doubled the Holocaust.
Well, almost. And then they also have to take into account with World War II, I mean, 55 million people total died during that war, because you got to take about the famine in Russia.
This is Jews killed as a result.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
But that whole war, 55 million people died. They're suspecting, and then you're not even counting the 30 to 50 million people that died in China during the same period.
Well, I'm just talking straight genocide of a racial population.
Well, I mean, you could consider a genocide of any population. It doesn't have to be racial, right? Because the Jews aren't necessarily – they're viewed as a racial group, but, it's also a religion,
Yeah, and that's what the Uyghurs are. The Uyghurs are a religious belief, right?
Right.
So what we're saying is the Holocaust right now, what I'm seeing is 5.4 to 5.8 million Jews were killed. And now I'm hearing that 8 million, possibly 8 million Uyghurs were killed because of their political affiliation or their
religious views. While they're harvesting their organs. They're not just shooting them or burning them alive or gassing them. They're literally dying the most horrible death you could imagine. I mean, could you imagine your rib?
Where are your facts coming from on this, Dan? So that way people.
They're coming from a Uyghur that escaped China.
Okay.
He's a doctor and he's in the United States, and he said he has inside sources. I can't source it right now. I don't have it in front of me.
All right. Well, I mean, it's something for people to consider. Sorry, people, we don't have the evidence right in front of us to say, here, go follow it. We'll try to get this into the comments section below. But if this is, I'm with you, Dan. It's a terrible thing.
No, it's terrible, but this is what I'm saying. This open brain, insert ideology can go very fast. We're talking roughly since the same time of the late 20s, the rise of Germany, and then the rise of China are been on the same path, but China never got the newsworthiness because they weren't really involved in World War II. They've kind of stayed in the dark. They've never really done anything, but like no one cared. A bunch of Christians got killed. Millions of Christians got killed. Yeah. And it's the same thing you saw in feudal Japan when the Christians tried to come. They were just massacring people. That's what they do. That's what they did. And that's what they're doing today. And it just says, why could that not happen in America? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm just saying, why could it not happen?
I mean, a deep state, man, anything's possible. You never know where we're going to. November 3rd. Who knows what's going to happen after November 3rd?
Well, the polls are very interesting, and I don't even know. I personally think Biden and Kamala are a throwaway candidate, and they really don't want them to win. They're not trying. Donald Trump campaign knocks on $1 million a week.
And I think this is going to be a year of the silent voter is what's going to decide everything.
Well, that's what decided the last time. The silent majority decided. Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen again this time. So sure, Trump's going to get another 4 years. And historically speaking, the second term is when presidents get wild because they know
Yeah.
it's the end of their reign. They're going to do what the hell they want. Everybody else
Mhm.
be damned. So Trump could either do amazing things or Trump could do things that are going to make the leftists.
I I
Well,
don't I don't see I don't think Trump, if you look at Trump, listen guys, I'm not a
Yeah.
hardcore Trump guy, but if you look at what Trump's done during his presidency, there's not too much to criticize besides the spending. Screw
Well,
COVID before that.
I just lost 3 of my 7 listeners. Thanks, Dan.
You lost what?
I just lost 3 of my 7 listeners. Thank you.
Well, hey, no, I mean, I'm not a massive supporter of Donald Trump, but I am voting for Donald Trump.
Yeah,
I
I'm
am
just
realistic, but his policies are fantastic. And this is my thing. He's been confronted with huge pinnacle moments in his presidency that prove he is an absolutely the best president we've probably had since JFK, maybe even Abraham Lincoln.
And listen, I have never voted, so I've never bitched. I'll say that right now. I have never voted for a president, so I don't have a lot of room. But what I do recognize is the fact that for the 4 years that Trump was in office, he has had to fight every day of his administration.
Well, that's true, but screw all that.
But no, but the point is, sure, Obama got elected. A lot of people were unhappy, but a lot of Republicans were unhappy. But guess what? They
That's every
rallied.
election.
Yeah, they rallied, but they fussed, and then they rallied. They didn't hold on to it for 4 years.
Well, not 8 years either.
Yeah, exactly. But you see what I'm saying? Trump only has 4 years under his belt, baby. He's going to get another 4. His name is going to be on my retirement papers. The Honorable President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, hereby notifies Scott Shirley's retired.
Well, listen, I think like what I'm saying about Trump, his policies are absolutely, I think, to the betterment of America. When you look through his trade deals, taking away NAFTA, taking away TPP,
Yes.
the USMCA, the new China trade deal, even though screw China.
Yeah.
But like, listen, he's been the pivotal moments we need to talk about. There's a couple, but the main two I think we should talk about that really prove he is a populist president and he is a constitutional president. And those are the most important things we should have as a president. We shouldn't have, like Obama doing things that weren't necessarily that popular and shutting down our government for it. But so one of the big things was Iran. When Iran bombed, I have a friend, she was there. When Iran bombed Iraq, our little compound in Iraq. Okay, now hear me out.
I have
a friend that worked in the gun.
I have a friend who was there, and I was stationed at that base the year prior.
Right. Okay. Well, then but like you know how crazy that must have been then. I mean, I was never been there, but you have to sit. So like, hold on, hear me out. So my friend was in the briefing room with the chiefs of staff when they were formulating the 10 plans that they had to bring to Trump because they know they needed options.
Yes.
So they go in there with everything from sending in spec ops to like you name it, like you know what I mean, like the big stuff, all crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
So and basically from everything to basically full on war was the basic option.
Yeah.
That was like literally like regardless of what if you retaliated, it probably was war. So Trump was sitting in the in the Oval Office or where probably the briefing, the security room or whatever, wherever it was in the White House.
Yeah.
And he asked a simple question. This is verified by people there. How many people will die? And they said, basic approximation with this plan, you're looking at, probably 5,000 to 8,000. And he goes, how many people have died? Did we lose anybody? No. And he goes, we're not doing it. We're gonna mess them up with tariffs. We're gonna go after them politically, get NATO and the UN against them, and to espouse them. And that really shows that he's not crazy. He is able to. The whole establishment wanted to go to the war. CNN and Fox and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, get him, do it." I was mad as hell. I'm glad I wasn't in that seat. Because I know what I would have done. I remember because I had just gotten out not too long before that, and I was so frustrated and so mad and so just I was so emotional about it. But that proves that he handled it perfectly. He did not get us into another war that we didn't need to be, and he just realized that this is politics. This is global politics. They're trying to mess with us. They want us to drag us into a war. We're not doing it. Then you can say the impeachment. That was bullcrap. And I'm just going to say that much. We all know it's bullcrap. They illegally spied on his campaign. It's all out there. Look it up. General Flynn. Check it out. And then another big moment was COVID. The response to COVID. Everyone wants to blame Trump for the current state of affairs of what's happening. But Trump realized, according to the 10th Amendment, the states have the power to do what they want with their people. And he said, we are here to facilitate and help. But it is your responsibility. That's why you have governors to handle these situations, these states of emergency. And they were messing it up. Now let's get Cuomo. Just the other day, there's a nickname going around for Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York, the Butcher of New York, because he's 12,000. That's nearly 50% of all COVID deaths in New York were a result of putting people in nursing homes. And the only reason they found out is because the DOJ had to go in and request that they release the information because they would not release it. And do you know what Andrew Cuomo's doing? He's putting a book out. It's going to be out in November, talking about his leadership, talking about how he handled the pandemic in such a beautiful way when 12,000 people died on. Now, am I going to play Monday morning quarterback? Not trying to, but if you think it's a good idea that we knew within a month that this was targeted at old and elderly people, we knew that pretty much from the beginning. So I don't care what your opinion on that is, because that wasn't Trump. That was Andrew Cuomo that made those decisions. You know, everyone wants to blame the infection rate and this and that. Like, dude, listen, Trump is the federal government. He does not have executive action to force governments to do anything. It's against the Constitution. And I literally, people going, all these riots are happening under Trump. Yeah, dude, he offers assistance and they tell him to go screw. What do you want the guy to do? The only thing he can do is enact the Insurrection Act. And if he does that, it's authoritarian. And he doesn't want to do that because, honestly, conservatives hate that crap.
Yeah.
And the media would spin it to make it look like he's Nazi Germany. That's exactly what they did. They did it with the federal police when they sent in DHS and all these people and Border Patrol to go in and help protect the federal courthouse building which is federal property in Portland. And what did they do? Oh, he's like the stormtroopers. Thanks, Nancy Pelosi. You're smart. You're real.
Oh, no. It froze. Oh, he was on such a good rant, too. Give it a second. It'll re-kick. We had such a good one going there, too. Hi. All right.
And
we're back. All right. Yeah, I lost you at Nancy Pelosi federal stormtroopers.
No, it's all good. I kept them going. It records for until you disappear completely. So we're good. We can that was it. Just Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
Horrible.
And it is mind-boggling to me how you either have to be left or you have to be right. Your views have to align with one side or the other. You can't have a reasonable conversation with a human being anymore. And I have notes here, you were talking about the bells in schools and everything. And I wrote down my second oldest child, I think she was in 6th grade, which is middle school in Georgia. The teacher every day would make them watch 15 minutes of CNN. They couldn't watch anything else. Oh, did I lose you? Because you're not moving on my screen. Damn it. Don't tell me we're losing this whole thing right now. Because we are on something right now. Dan! Oh, man. I think my internet just shit the bed on me totally. Damn it, Dan! You've talked too much. The leftists are after us.
It's probably the Chinese. Let's get real.
The Chinese are all over us right now. All right, no. So she's in 8th grade now. I think she was in 6th grade. She was forced to watch 15 minutes of CNN a day. And I'm with you. I went to the school and I talked to the teacher and I was like, hey, cool. If you want to make the kids watch CNN, give them options. Give them CNN, give them Fox, give them BBC, mix it up. And the teacher's like, no, that's not what we're going to do. It's CNN or nothing. So I was like, well, then my daughter gets nothing. You need to send her into the hallway. So my daughter had to leave the classroom every day for 15 minutes while everybody else watched CNN.
That's proactive parenting, though. So
Well, yeah,
you looked out for your daughter. That's good.
and my point is my kids can make their own decisions. I let my kids, I try to be very neutral when I talk politics or anything to my kids, except for love America because we're the best. Other than that, love God, love America. The rest is on you. But if the education system is going to try to force something down their throats, I'm not okay with that. If you're going to say you're going to watch the news, well, you need to watch multiple points of view, not just one side, because that is that open mind, open hate, whatever you're saying.
Open brain, insert ideology.
Yeah, that's same open mind, open hate, insert open brain, insert whatever. But no, it is. I see a lot of brainwashing in schools, and it does grow. Like my youngest is in first grade, and she's doing online schooling because of COVID. Every day they still do the Pledge of Allegiance, which is awesome. My daughter, the first day of school, my daughter led Pledge of Allegiance. So proud of her, amazing. But I can see your argument as to, yeah, you get them while they're young with you're being patriotic, saying the Pledge of Allegiance, and then you start adding on to that, little cookies and crumbles here. Okay, yeah, you said your Pledge of Allegiance. Here's your 5 to 10 minutes of CNN. That's patriotic. And unfortunately, news outlets nowadays aren't biased. They are very one-sided. So I will concede the win to you on that one, that the bells in schools and the doctrine and the education system is going to more of a leftist, more of a just ideas I don't agree with.
Well, it's always been that way. It's been that way for 60 years. And the higher education, absolutely.
Yeah. I think me growing up in North Georgia, granted I fought education the whole way through. I don't remember a lot of ideologies being pushed on me. Mm-hmm. My education growing up was, here's the material you have to learn. And there was no, you learned about Martin Luther King, you learned about World War II and all that, but it wasn't this person was right, this person was wrong. Me growing up, and I graduated in 2004, I don't feel like I had a whole lot of people pushing ideologies on me.
The lower education. It wasn't lower education, it was higher education. That's where, 1 in 5 sociological professors are outright Marxist, dude. That's 20% that are outright Marxist. They believe it. 1 in 5.
I'm getting yelled at by woke and
not to mention 90%. Hey, it happens. 90% of all college level educators are Democratic left-leaning people. That is because they don't support certain ideological perspectives.
And I would say I can see that.
That's what happens to suppression of ideas.
And I would say I can see that because of, the military and whatnot, I have to do X amount of college courses a year. And I'm going through AMU, American Military University. And even that, American Military University, a lot of my instructors, I can tell, are very leftist leaning. So I come at them with the pro-right, and I get shut down very hard, but I don't care because I'm still going to pull C in a minute. Yeah. But no, so I'll give you that. Higher education is very liberal. It's a
sham. It's a
sham. It is. Oh yeah.
It's a way to put them in debt and then be mad at society, but not be mad at the fucking institution, the industrialization of education. It's disgusting.
I had a cousin of mine. He's been on the podcast. He went to college, and he at one point said, he's like, had I known that college would have given me so little, he never would have quit his job making so much money just to go to college, because he had a good job in the restaurant industry. He was making money hand over foot, and he basically threw it all away to go to college for X amount of years to get his master's degree. And now he's back doing the same type of job, making good money, but he is chock full of debt, and everything he got from college doesn't help him with the job he's doing.
And that's the point, though. And you also got to take this into account. Like most of the college professors, they got their doctorate and they became professors. They never really worked in their fields.
Oh, yes.
Most of them.
I'm well aware of that. I've been fortunate enough to know 2 college professors.
That's very common.
Yeah. And I know I've talked to several people.
It's just a common theme.
Yeah. I've talked to several people who say they want to get their doctorate just to teach. I'm like, but you have no
Yep.
experience. How am I going to go teach somebody tactics of kicking in a door and shooting somebody in the face if I've never kicked in a door and shot somebody in the face? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you really break down the true tragedy of our education system, one of the biggest, honestly, economic factors that has happened. If you go WTF1971.com, that's really where all the stuff started beginning with the exchange program through the visa exchange program for colleges. So once you go up to that upper level education, like you going for your doctorate, you basically are working. It is experience. You know, you are working most of the time, whether it's like if you're like a biology major, you're going to be working in a lab somewhere or something, right? Like microbiology. And but they have to pay you. They have to pay you because of minimum wage laws in the United States. Or like, it's just it's inhumane. They have to. But under federal law, under their visa exchange program, they don't have to pay you. They just got to pay for your visa, which is only a couple $1,000s a year to renew. You know, it's not that hard of a process to do. So what they did is they over flooded our education, higher education, because a lot of these people that were like, I want to go get my doctorate, like that was a big thing to be able to go do. So a lot of Americans were left without the ability to go to get their doctorate, and they were over flooding our education system with visa exchange people, and from China and all over the world, and they were just basically free labor, and they were making hand over fist, dude, and like you said, hand over foot maybe, but it's something that we've seen trends, and all this stuff is way more nuanced. It's not as solidified. All this stuff is nuanced. It's just like when you see a cop. Like if you take the Jacob Blake situation in Kenosha, Wisconsin, it is nuanced, but people are trying to act like the cop had more decisions than they want. We get to live, you know, that cop gets to live that moment one time.
Yeah.
We get to relive the moment thousands of times. Rewatch the video over and over and over, and we get to criticize and do it. And that's a reason why hindsight is in 2020. But what they've done over the past, in which we know George Floyd now died from fentanyl overdose. Whether he was at home or whether he was there on kneeling on his neck, which we now know is his upper back, it's just like all this stuff was used by the media to hurt Trump. That's how much they don't give a shit about black people. $1 billion damage has been done in the United States, probably more now. $1 billion worth of damage. Those communities will never recover. It's majority black communities that are being burned down. They're burning their own places down, burning the small businesses that will never come back. Insurance companies don't want to pay out because they're fighting tooth and nail because $1 billion is a lot of freaking money. So they don't want to deal with it. And what we're seeing is like you go type in 1967 Detroit riots. They were a 3.8% unemployment rate. Great economy. Everyone was doing great, but they got emotional. And it was just about the racial stuff. And they burned their city to the ground. All the industry left. And still today, Detroit is a fucking hellhole where people are in complete and objective poverty, run by Democrats. You know, and they offer a welfare state so that people don't have to work. They don't have to, and it's like it's not just the welfare state. It's culture. It's police interactions. The police play a role. Their education system plays a role. You know, because if you're told you're oppressed your entire life, then you're going to be oppressed. That's just like what happens most of the time. And you have outliers that make it out of the system. But if I hear LeBron, who at 18 years old, who came from a nuclear family, 2-parent home, one more time, talk about how black people are being hunted into the streets. When you got into the NBA at 18 years old, you know nothing of the black American experience in these ghettos and these hoods. You just don't. Don't pretend you do. But this is the problem. You know, that's a problem. And they're the reason, and that's why the ratings are getting dumped in the NBA, 42% dip. No one's watching. Every game's a playoff game. No one gives a shit. They boycotted the other day, right? The playoff game. But guess what the NBA told them? Okay, cool. So we're getting fucked because we're losing $1 billion in advertising money. So we're taking 30% of your pay. And do you know what they did? They go, 30% of my pay? I'm Steph Curry. I make $42 million a year. Now I'm only going to get 32, 35, or whatever it was. So they go, okay, master, okay. You know, And
Yeah.
then they want to talk about all the shit going on in America, but when they make billions of dollars from China and they're
Yeah.
killing millions of people, and fucking Mark Cuban will not say free Hong Kong, because you know why? The Rockets guy, the Rocket manager dude, whoever said free Hong Kong, nearly got fired. Everyone, the China threatened to cut off the NBA. Then
Yep.
they had reports from NBA assistant coaches and people going over to help, like they're going to help like the Chinese build up their
Yeah.
programs and stuff, and they're beating children. They're beating children and abusing children at these camps. Uyghur children, because they take the athletic ones, they get them in there, and not just Uyghurs, all of them. They get beat, they get punched, they get kicked, and all this stuff. And it came back and reported. And what does the NBA say? Not a fucking thing. So don't come around here and talk about America, where we have some bad people in America. Anyone who says otherwise, you're an idiot. We have morons, we have dummies, we have fucking people who are out for their invested interests and nothing else. And then you got a lot of Americans that love this country, that want to continue to fight for this country, that want this country to be better. We're not perfect. We're not perfect, but we can progress to be better. But the terminology of progressive is stupid, because what it's asking for is collectivism in the modern sense. And I denounce collectivism. Our Constitution, our country was built off of individualism. That's why you have constitutional rights. Every individual, not groups of people, every individual has constitutional rights from the moment you're born. But we wake up every day and we allow a million babies to be murdered every single year through the womb.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, guys, I'm sick and tired of it. I don't care what people say. I believe you shouldn't murder anybody. State-sanctioned murder is wrong. That's just me. Rant over. I love America. I know Scotty's got to go soon. I just had to get that out. But
No, I'm reading right now. Sorry, I got dual screens, so I'm feeling fancy. And I'm looking at this whole, it's ESPN investigation finds coaches at NBA China academies complained of player abuse, lack of schooling. So because I was trying to figure out about the whole Uyghurs being beaten and stuff.
mm-hmm.
And it's appalling what other countries are doing to people, and we're sending over ambassadors, so to speak, who just turn a blind eye to it.
Well, obviously they didn't turn a blind eye because they reported it to the ESPN. But this is the thing. This is the problem. Disney's involved. Do you know Disney, when they made Star Wars, they put John Boyega in the back and changed and altered the color of his skin because they don't like black people. And this is really the problem in America. I'm going to tell you something very simple here before we go.
Yeah.
You have a ghetto or like a gang-ridden area.
Oh no. Did I just lose it as he was getting into Disney? Ah. Damn you, internet. Just wait for this to reset.